Okay, so I said I'm not going to do any woe is me videos, and this is not what that is. But I do have to talk about me for just a minute, because I'm going to tell you something. And again, I am a God fearing, Christian, believing, spiritual guy, and I have been feeling just sorry for myself lately. I've got a whole bunch of things going on at once, and in my mind, it feels like the whole world is caving in around me. And today I had to go back to the doctor and to get the ultrasound to find the spots on my spleen and liver. And while I was in the waiting room, I met this lady who, let me start. Normally, I don't, if I meet somebody of a different race, it's not an important part of my meeting or important part of me talking. But I'm mentioning that she was a black lady because, you know, here in the Deep South, black folks and white folks still, by and large, travel in their own little circles of like looking people. That's not true for everyone. But in my world, I don't actively look to not be involved with black folks, and I don't think black folks actively not look to be keep white people out of their little circle. But generally, the people you know are people that are most like you, and it's nothing about race. Just mostly about that's just human nature. So, number one, the fact that it was a black lady, young black woman, and an old white guy sitting in the waiting room, and she had this little bottle of stuff that you got to drink before you get this CAT scan with contrast. And I knew what the stuff was, and I said, "Oh, lucky you! You get to drink that stuff." She goes, "Well, it ain't as bad as it used to taste." And we got to talking from there. And her name is Demetria, and I would just like you to remember that name, Demetria. And this woman has had 17 operations. She's gone to 3 different hospitals trying to get her problems at least fixed to a point where she can live life. She had Crohn's disease, and they had to remove her colon. Well, then some of her intestines were not colon. They had to, the colon. They had to remove the lower part of her intestines, which is the colon, because it was so diseased, it was, causing her immense pain. So that was okay for a couple of years. And then she had, her intestines started going bad. So they had to remove some intestines, and there wasn't enough left. I'll be, as delicate about this as I can, but if they can't connect you back up to your booty hole, they have to run it out through your stomach into something called a colostomy bag. So she said she had a colostomy bag for a couple of years. And then she had more intestines go bad. So they had to cut some more out, and there wasn't enough. Her colostomy was on the left side, and there wasn't enough intestines to reconnect it to the left side. So they had to put a new one on her right side. And this poor lady, I was just cringing. I felt so sorry for her. She's had so many operations and so many problems. And one of the problems, she was in the hospital getting surgery. And when she came to, her friends were there waiting for her in the recovery room. And they moved her into a room and got her settled. And 2 of the people on the way home got into a car wreck on the interstate and died. And then she no longer was able to drive. So her daddy had to start driving her to her doctor's appointments. Now, this was a woman with kids. So she's looking after her kids and trying to take care of herself and stay alive. Well, it got to the point where she couldn't drive anymore. She was on so much medication, and she hurt so bad she couldn't sit in the position that you need to drive in because it was too uncomfortable. So her daddy started taking time off of work to bring her to her doctor's appointments and sit with her and bring her home. And she said that he lost his job because he was taking so much time off to take care of her. And it's just one thing after another. And I started feeling just so freaking guilty about me feeling sorry for myself. And this problem that I have is a problem that I can get through and get over. And I'm, in my 60s, and my life is, in the final quarter. And her life is still in the, first third. I didn't ask her, but she said she started having trouble, and her first surgery was when she was 21. And she looked to be in her 30s, early 30s. So and she has kids. And so I do believe that the Creator brings us into, it's not by chance that I met this woman from a different race in a different city, far away from me, and we just happened to meet in the same waiting room for the same procedure, roughly. I had a ultrasound, but I was in that room last week for the same thing she's having this week. And the coincidence is just too great to think it's a coincidence. And I do believe that God brings people into our path to help us or to learn something from. And what I learned was I should stop feeling sorry for myself and start feeling empathy for people who are going through much, much worse than me. And when the lady come to call me in for my ultrasound, when I got up, I stuck my hand out. And it's always weird when men shake hands with women. But this wasn't. And I wanted to hold her hand for longer. But I didn't. And I shook her hand, and I asked her name. And she said, Demetria. And I said, Demetria, you're going to be in every one of my prayers from now on.